Amidst the towering skyscrapers of Manhattan, where the line between dream and reality often blurs, lived David Miller. David was an ordinary man whose life revolved around his wife, Sarah, and their little daughter, Lily. Even amidst the bustling life of New York, their small apartment was a peaceful haven filled with love. David worked for a small publishing agency, and Sarah was a school teacher. Their lives were simple, beautiful, and full of affection, but one winter morning, that peaceful haven shattered in an instant. A notorious drug cartel in New York, led by Ricky Valentine, brought darkness into their lives. Ricky Valentine was the most dangerous drug lord in the city, his power extending beyond the reach of the police. His empire was deeply rooted in the underworld. One day, on her way home from school, Sarah became a victim of a crossfire involving Ricky Valentine's gang. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time, Sarah lost her life. Lily, then just a 5-year-old child, witnessed her mother's death. David's world stopped in a single moment. All his dreams, love, and joy seemed to turn to ashes instantly. Although the police began an investigation, they were helpless against Ricky Valentine's influence. The case was suppressed, and David realized that he would never get justice through the conventional legal system. Revenge began to burn in David's heart. He quit his job, sent Lily to his sister in Florida, and dedicated himself entirely to destroying Ricky Valentine's empire. David used all his savings to undergo weapons training. He learned martial arts, mastered sniping, and thoroughly researched the operations of drug cartels. His sole objective was to make Ricky Valentine pay the ultimate price for his actions. Initially, David began targeting Ricky Valentine's smaller drug deals. He roamed the dark alleys of New York at night, where Valentine's men sold drugs. David would destroy their drugs, steal their money, and create discord among them. He operated in such a way that it seemed like another rival gang was responsible for these actions. This created chaos in Valentine's empire and led to significant financial losses. Valentine realized that someone was actively working against him. He instructed his men to find this enemy. But David was like a shadow, almost impossible to catch. David took every step with extreme caution. He left no trace, no evidence. His only identity was his black hoodie and the fire of revenge in his eyes. David's next target was Valentine's money laundering routes. He discovered that Valentine brought drugs from Mexico to New York and laundered the money through various shell companies. David tracked these routes and disrupted Valentine's communication with the Mexican cartel. He leaked Valentine's vulnerabilities to the Mexican cartel, creating distrust among them. This broke Valentine's supply chain and severely damaged his business. Valentine then understood that this enemy was no ordinary person. He learned David's name and began investigating his past. When he found out that David's wife had died at the hands of his gang, Valentine understood the reason for David's revenge. Valentine sent his best hitmen to eliminate David. David knew Valentine was looking for him. He kept himself prepared. One night, when David raided one of Valentine's secret warehouses, he fell into a trap set by the hitmen. The warehouse was an abandoned facility in Brooklyn, where Valentine stored his most valuable drugs. Although David was alone, his training and tactics helped him. He defeated the hitmen one by one. The fight was brutal and bloody. David poured all his anger and frustration into this battle. Finally, David confronted Ricky Valentine. Valentine was sitting in his luxurious penthouse, surrounded by his bodyguards. David breached all security to reach him. Valentine was not surprised to see David, as he knew David would come. An intense conversation ensued, where David blamed Valentine for his wife's death. Valentine mocked David's pain, which further fueled David's rage. David did not kill Valentine directly. He handed over all evidence of Valentine's illegal activities to the police. He had arranged the evidence in such a way that Valentine could not escape. Valentine was arrested, and his empire crumbled. David knew that Valentine's imprisonment was not enough punishment for his wife's death, but he wanted Valentine to lose his power and prestige, which was worse than death to him. After Valentine's downfall, David returned to Lily in Florida. He had completed his path of revenge, but peace had not settled in his heart. The void left by his wife would never be filled. However, he wanted to give Lily a safe and beautiful life. David realized that revenge had not brought him peace, but he had found an opportunity to start a new life for his daughter. That dark chapter in New York would remain a part of David's life, but he wanted to look towards the future and live anew, holding Lily's hand. After returning to Florida, David tried to start a new life with Lily. His sister, Jessica, loved Lily very much, and had taken care of her in David's absence. Jessica convinced David that the path of revenge would not bring him peace. Instead, creating a stable life for Lily should be his primary goal now. David accepted Jessica's advice. He wanted to leave his past behind and build a bright future for Lily. David took a new job in a small town. He changed his name to John Smith, so that his past would not haunt him. Lily started going to school and slowly began to forget the absence of her mother. David would take Lily to school every day and pick her up. They would play in the park together, eat ice cream, and tell stories. David tried to bring a smile to Lily's face, because Lily's smile was the only reason for his existence, but Ricky Valentine's shadow still lingered in David's mind. He knew that even though Valentine was in jail, his followers were still out there. David always remained vigilant, knowing that danger could strike at any moment. He continued his training, kept himself fit, and stayed aware of his surroundings. Several years later, when Lily turned 10, new danger arrived in David's life. An old associate of Ricky Valentine, named Marco, was released from prison. Marco was Valentine's right-hand man, and he wanted to take revenge on David. Marco found out that David was in Florida, and had changed his name. He sent his men to find David. One day, as David was picking Lily up from school, he noticed a black van following them. David realized that danger had arrived. He quickly put Lily in the car, and started driving at high speed. Marco's men pursued them. A breathtaking chase began on the city streets. David used his driving skills to evade Marco's men. Lily held David's hand tightly. Scared, David drove towards a secluded warehouse. He knew that the warehouse could be a trap for him, but he had no other option. Inside the warehouse, David hid Lily in a safe place and confronted Marco's men. Marco looked at David and smiled, saying, "Miller, did you think you could escape from me? I have come to take revenge for Valentine." An intense fight broke out between David and Marco's men. David used his martial arts and sniping skills to defeat Marco's men one by one. Marco was an experienced fighter, and their battle was tough. David got injured, but he did not give up. He knew he had to protect Lily. At one point in the fight, David defeated Marco. Marco fell to the ground, and David looked at him and said, "Valentine has reaped what he sowed, and so will you." David handed Marco over to the police. After this incident, David realized that his past would never completely free him. He thought about moving somewhere else with Lily, but Lily convinced him that she did not want to leave the city. Lily said, "Dad, you protected me. I know you will always protect me. We will stay in this city together." Listening to Lily's words, peace came to David's mind. He realized that although revenge had not brought him peace, Lily's love had taught him to live anew. David accepted his past and started a new life, looking towards the future. He no longer lived like a shadow, but remained by Lily's side as a father. David dedicated the rest of his life to Lily. He helped Lily with her studies, sports, and fulfilling her dreams. Lily grew up to become a successful lawyer and worked for society. David was proud to see Lily's success. He knew that his wife's sacrifice, and his own struggle, had not been in vain. At the end of the story, David and Lily are sitting on a quiet beach in Florida, watching the sunset. Lily holds David's hand and says, "Dad, you are my hero." David smiles at Lily. There is no longer the fire of revenge in his eyes, only love and peace. He realizes that true revenge is love and forgiveness, which has given him and Lily a new life.